Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar. We're going to be introducing you to our newest product, the scraping browser, which we think is great, but we're a little biased. So hopefully by the end of this webinar, you'll agree with me. In this webinar, we'll start off by a quick introduction to Bright Data. We'll talk about our product stack and where the scraping browser is relative to that. We'll review traditional usage of scraping in browsers. Then we'll introduce the scraping browser, our new product, and we'll continue to a live demo and some Q&A. At any point, you can write your questions in the chat, and we'll answer them at any point of the presentation. So feel free, don't be shy. My name is Aviv. I'm the director of Proxy Products, and I'll be doing the product overview. Joining us in the webinar are Ilya, post-sale specialist, who will be doing the live demo, and Noy, customer marketing manager, who will be moderating this webinar. So thank you very much. Now, I'll start off with a few words on Bright Data. Today, Bright Data serves over 20,000 customers, including Fortune 500 companies from all sectors, e-commerce, travel, data extraction, advertisement, you name it. Most of the brands that we all know and love are customers of Bright Data. We also have over 400 employees worldwide, and our main offices are in Israel and New York City. A quick note about Bright Data's efforts for ethical usage. Bright Data has many compliance processes built into all of our products. That includes a dedicated compliance team and all kinds of measurements working in the back end, like blocking access to bad endpoints, site health monitor, making sure we don't overload sites, and many more measures. And alongside Bright Data, we have the Bright Initiative, which is a pro bono program where we give services for free for different organizations, like NGOs and other organizations, for promoting using data for good. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our product stack, so you understand where this product is compared to others and how different products rely on other products. So along the years, Bright Data added many different types of products. The common idea is always and was always to make it easier and more accessible for anyone to collect public web data. Now, we have three main layers of products in our stack. The first one is proxies in infra, scraping infra. And I'll dive into the different products in a second. Above that, we have the data sets and web scraper IDE, offering less involvement in the data collection process, more ready-made data, and more features. And on top of that, we have the Bright Insights, which gives ready-made data and also extracting different insights and serving them to our customers. So let's talk a little bit about proxies and scraping infra. Bright Data launched its first products around 2014, pioneering the proxy market with our residential peer-to-peer network. This is a very powerful network with millions of IP addresses from pretty much any location you can imagine in the world. A very powerful network, high-quality network, very hard to block. And that was our first product, which was very successful. And then we started adding more proxy networks. Next in line was the data center network, which is more basic IPs. They are IPs hosted on servers, cheaper, faster, and in a lower quantity. We have around 770,000 data center IPs. For simple websites, they're a great solution. For more sophisticated websites, it might be more challenging to use them. And next in line, we added the mobile proxy network, which is very similar to the residential proxy network, but the IPs are coming from mobile devices and mobile packages. This product is ideal for anyone who wants to view the internet from the eyes of a mobile user. So ad verification, or maybe different e-commerce use cases where the websites give different types of information for mobile users. And finally, we have the ISP network, which is with IPs we source from ISPs, residential IPs. But unlike the residential peer-to-peer network, the ISP network is in more of a data center architecture. So that mainly means that the IPs don't rotate. They behave like data center IPs in that aspect. They're also fast like data center IPs. And the quantity of the IPs is smaller than the rotating residential network. And these are our 4 proxy networks. This is the first generation products Right Data came out with. Of course, they require more involvement by the customer, but they are a must-have for collecting data. Next in line, we have the second generation products, which are Web Unlocker and SERP API, and they came to solve a very big headache for our customer because websites are increasingly making it harder to collect public web data. There are more and more bot detection services and different types of blocking, and it's a constant research and development effort to stay up to date and be able to collect public web data for more and more sites. For this need, we came up with Web Unlocker and the SERP API. Both products handle automatically anything related to not getting blocked. So there's many actions in the background that need to be done for not getting blocked. Web Unlocker is a generic product, so it is compatible for any website, basically. You send a request, Web Unlocker will do what it needs to do in the background for not getting blocked, and you will get back the HTML. The SERP API, however, is customized for search engines. So anything related to going to a search engine and getting data about ranking or keyword research or anything of the widgets in the search engine results page, as well as other sections in the search engine like trends, maps, flights, hotels, and so on. These are all supported with the SERP API. And then comes the scraping browser, which I'll dive into in a second. So these are the layers of products in our proxy and scraping infrastructure, which all rely one on top of the other. I want to connect for a second to the context of using a browser with scraping. So while for some websites, you can go to some direct URL, for example, maybe an e-commerce product page where you just need to go to the URL, fetch the information, and that's all you need. But many sites today, and increasingly with more sites, you need to perform actions and interact with the target site. That can include navigating, inputting data, clicking buttons, scrolling through results, taking screenshots, and many more actions. And probably a good example would be going to some travel website, inputting the time frame, destination, clicking search, and then getting to the results, maybe scrolling between the results, maybe filtering them. So many different actions which are needed to get to the end result or the data that you actually need. And doing these interactions, of course, requires using a browser. The second part is that for using this browser for scraping, our customers would normally, until we launched the scraping browser, had to set up a browser infrastructure on their side. In large scale, that's a challenging effort, keeping it up to date, making sure it supports the required throughput, or using a third-party tool, connecting it to our proxies or to some other provider proxies, and handling things related to unblocking. Now, there are different challenges related to these efforts, but we put them in 2 main boxes. The first one is related to basically just not getting blocked. There's always different types of blockings. And over the years, it's becoming more difficult to overcome these blockings. There are new types coming out all the time. So that requires constant research, development, maintenance. It's not like you solve it for one site, one time, and you're good to go. These things constantly evolve, and it's a big headache to stay up to date and make sure you can get the data that you need. And the second part is related to the browser infrastructure, making sure it supports the required crawling load, throughput, making sure the browsers are of the right type and using the right version and have enough servers and so on.
Aviv?
For these needs and
Aviv, can you hear me?
Right Data came out with a scraping browser. Now, before I get into the details and features of this product, I want to give some context. This is actually not a new product. This is actually a product that's been used internally for the past 2 years or so by the Web Unlocker, which I presented earlier. So the web unlocker that does automated unblocking uses a browser for some cases when needed. And web unlocker passes many terabytes of traffic through it for thousands of sites and thousands of customers. And it's been using these browsers for a long time. And what we did now is take that infrastructure and make it accessible as a product for our customers. So to make it very short and simple, the scraping browser is the infrastructure of browsers you can connect to at any given moment, at any scale. Tell the browsers what to do, just like you would with any other browser, but these are special browsers because they have all kinds of features built into them, unlike regular browsers. So let's dive a bit deeper into the details now. So the scraping browser API, unlike a normal browser, combines the proxy built in, the unblocking, and usage of any scale. So that means you don't need to manage what proxy network to use, rotating the IPs cooling time, anything related to unblocking, so fingerprints, detecting and solving CAPTCHA, or anything else related to unblocking. That's all built in to the product. You only need to tell the browser what to do. Navigate to that page, scroll, click, and so on. So these are all built in. And now, one of our main goals was to make the product super easy and smooth to integrate with and use. So we made it compatible with Puppeteer and Playwright, and probably by the end of this week, also Selenium. And basically any CDP-based API will be supported with the scraping browser. The purpose that it will be very easy for you to start working with it. Anyone that's already working with browsers and have some script telling the browser what to do with one of these APIs can just plug and play pretty much. The only changes you would need to make are removing parts related to unblocking. So we see that many of our customers using the scraping browser have some parts of their code, for example, telling the browser to solve CAPTCHAs. You don't need that anymore. You just need to tell the browser what to do. We handle everything else in the background. Now, like I said earlier, the scraping browser is an infrastructure hosted on Bright Data side. That means it's not hosted on your side. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to install anything on any server. You just connect to the browsers on our side at any scale and tell the browsers what to do. That's a big difference from what many of our customers do now, because you don't need to have all these servers, heavy servers with different browsers installed on them. You just need your crawler telling our browsers what to do.
Aviv, can you hear me?
One feedback we often get is that when using the scraping browser, and that's similar to feedback we get for the web unlocker, new data sources are opened for our customers. And that's because in some cases, our customers are not able to bypass blockings of some sites, or maybe they are able, but it's too challenging and too resource consuming, and they just give up. So now with the built-in unblocking abilities, all these options become available. And finally, we support any scale. Like I said earlier, this is the same infrastructure that's used for a full stack of products. It has auto scaling. You're not going to reach the limits of this product. You can work at any scale with any number of parallel sessions. I want to check if we have any questions from the audience. So we have one question: can I replace my social scrapers implemented in Bright Data with the new scraping browser capabilities? You can use the product for any use case you want. You're free to test the product, and if it works well, if it's a better fit for you, definitely you can start using it. I'll also give a little hint at the end of this. We're giving a benefit for all attendees of this webinar, so you'll be able to test the product with a discount. Another question we have is, how do we get this recording sent to us? Okay, I'll let Noy handle that, but we're going to send over at least the presentation. Victor says he can hear Noi, but I can't. So Noi, if you can hear me, you're welcome to come to where I'm sitting, and then I can hear you.
Aviv, can you hear me now?
We have another anonymous question. How does the browser infra look like? Can it use hardware acceleration to render WebGL? So no, the hardware is on our side. You can't do acceleration. You can't add anything to the hardware. These are standard browsers with the enrichment of our proxy management and automated unblocking, but they are remote. They're not on your side, and you can't modify them. Is the scraping browser API better than collectors? It's not a question of better or worse. It's just a question of what's more comfortable for you. If you want to be able to control the browser on your own, instead of having a collector which is pre-built and you have less control, definitely the scraping browser is a better fit. If you prefer having some supported collector, or if you prefer having the collector hosted on our side, plus it has more features like batch mode and parsing and sending to different endpoints, you can use the collectors. Are you charged for bandwidth of images? The scraping browser charges for per gigabyte. However, there are existing functions in Puppeteer and Playwright, and probably also in Selenium and other libraries that allow you to block different types of endpoints, like images and different types of endpoints. So if you don't need the images, you can definitely block out different types, different media types. How about Google reCAPTCHAs and other types of CAPTCHAs? So the scraping browser automatically detects and solves any type of CAPTCHA. Now, new types of CAPTCHAs come out, in some cases. We've seen it before. If there is any type of CAPTCHA we don't know how to solve yet, we'll build a solution, and we've done that several times before. So from your point of view, we handle everything, including CAPTCHA solving, yes. We also have CDP events that we send that show that we have detected the CAPTCHA, we are in the process of solving it, and that we completed solving it. Does it work with Instagram? The scraping browser works with any website. I'm browsing through the questions. Do you have inbuilt servers, or are you using third-party like AWS? Oh, lost the question. We're supporting unlimited requests. Yeah, so we have third-party servers which are part of our infrastructure. And of course, you have unlimited, and there's no limits on scale. We charge for all the data going through the scraping browser when you use it.
Okay, sorry for the technical issues. Now all can hear me. I wanted to let you know that we can see all your questions about other products from the beginning of the presentation. We will answer them later, but for now, let's focus on scraping browser. And for all everyone who asks about the presentation recording, you all will receive it afterwards. Aviv, do you want to answer the last question?
Okay, so we're going to go back to the presentation. We'll keep answering questions as we go, but we want to do the live demo part. So before we get there, I want to quickly go over how to get started. Using the scraping browser and getting started is super easy, super simple. You just go into your control panel, go to your proxy section and you open a new proxy and select the scraping browser. In your access parameters section, you have many resources that should help you get started, like credentials, documentation, fully operational code examples, which you can use and build on top. In this screenshot, you see a Puppeteer code example. And these are the access parameters. I want to go over one quick case study before we go to the live demo part, just to kind of wrap it up in a real context. Now, this is not any specific customer, but it's very similar to what many of our customers are doing. It's a pretty common use case. So in this use case, we need to go to some e-commerce platform and search for some products, get the list of results, and then go into each and every one of these results and extract data about pricing, stock, shipping fees, product description, and so on. We want to have up to 100 parallel sessions at peak time. And to do that, we'll need 50 browsers installed with 16 GB RAM and 8 cores. Now, this is kind of a parameter that changes between different companies. Some companies use a single browser per server. Other companies use even 20 browsers per server. So this is up to the customer, but you'll see that when using the scraping browser, you don't need any of these servers. So that's a big reduction on cloud expenses. That's a big value point. Now, in the traditional in-house solution or existing solution, what you would do is set up all these browsers, in this case, 50 browsers or 50 servers, and make sure they're up to date, maybe add auto scaling and all kinds of optimization measures. Then you would need to connect these browsers to some proxy service. And finally, you would need to do things related to not getting blocked, so solving CAPTCHAs, handling fingerprint, rotating the proxies, cooling time, cookies, and so on. With the scraping browser, now all you need to do is have your crawler connect to any number of scraping browser sessions, tell the browser what to do, and that's it. Plain and simple, very valuable. Now let's pass to the live demo, and after that we can answer some more questions. So passing it to Ilya.
Thank you, Aviv. So hi, everyone. It's great to see all the participants here. My name is Ilya. I'm the post-sale specialist here in Bright Data. I'm helping customers in their first stage with their new products when they sign in to ensure smooth onboarding and smooth usage with our products. I'll be demonstrating here. One moment. I'll be demonstrating 2 use cases. The first one will be the e-commerce. We will be going to Amazon, typing a search, and then collecting all the URLs and title and prices. And then we will see how we solve the CAPTCHA, how the CAPTCHA is solved, and then we can collect the data behind that. I'll be sharing my screen. All right. So what I'll be going to do is I'll be going to Amazon, typing search, clicking enter, getting this data. So how is it done? I'll be connecting to Amazon with the scraping browser. This is the line that we need basically to connect to our browsers. From here on now, it's the same Puppeteer script. We'll be connecting to the browser. Then we will navigating to the page, waiting for a selector, typing the search, pressing the enter, eventually loading the products and printing them. Let's do it. Sorry. So I'm connected to the browser. Now we'll be able to see the CDP connection in live. navigating to the page, typing the search term, getting the products, and then printing them. You can see it here. Do we have questions at this point? No? One moment.
Yes, so how can I inspect the session?
Sorry. We have two options. We can either do it automatically in the code, like I did. I took the URL from our control panel and added the inspect ID. But I can show you how it's done from the control panel. We are clicking on this. It's the same demonstration, but now you'll see it how we can go to the control panel. So this is the ID. And we can see here in the debug this ID. We click it. And then we can see the same session here. So it's working the same way. And it's easy and it's very comfortable to use. It will do the same thing, and then it will be printing the data here.
Great, we have another question. How much slower is this than request model Python?
Well, it's slower because it's loading browsers and it's not sending a direct HTTP request. So it takes time to connect, load all the unlocker features, and then go to the URL. How slow? It depends. Like there is no specific time that we can set for determine how slow it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this code on the site? If not, can we get that as well?
Yes, sure. We can share this code, no problem. But it's not on the site. We have a very good example, simple to this one, in the zone for the scraping browser.
Okay. Could this be run remotely on the server using headless browser?
This is exactly what's happening. This is a remote browser connected to our service and running on our service, and loading the browsers. And most of the time it's a headful, so it's not a headless browser because it has to do the unlocker feature in order to get the data. But yes, this is exactly what it's doing, and it's happening right here. This is the connect that we're doing to the remote browser.
Okay. Will this work within Amazon Seller Center?
I don't see a reason not, but it depends. No, I don't see any reason not. It should work. All right. So we can move forward to the CAPTCHA. A lot of you asked about the CAPTCHA. So what I'll be demonstrating now is a Cloudflare CAPTCHA solver that happens automatically on our end. So what we'll be doing is going to the CAPTCHA, and then it will, now I'm solving it manually, but what we're going to do is going to be solved automatically from the code. And now this is the code. We are going to the G2 in this example for Bright Data, connecting to the browser, same way as we did before. Now we'll be waiting for the CAPTCHA to be solved here. And after that, we will be printing the title of the reviews, but that's it. And let's dive into it. So again, loading you so you can see the CDP session. It's happening automatically. The captcha was solved automatically. Now we get to the page that we needed and getting the data without any need from your side to get any third-party solver. It happens automatically on our end. Eventually, we can print the data here. So we can see that the captcha was detected, captcha was solved, and with that, you can use whatever you want in your code after the captcha was solved. You can navigate, you can get the data, and work with it as you would use in any other browser.
Ilya, yeah, we have other question. How are we able to see what is happening in the browser? Wow, we are getting so much question that it's I can't track. Sorry. How are we able to see what is happening in the browser if it's happening remotely?
And this is exactly what I showed you. What you all saw now, it's the remote browser in action. I can show you again the example of Amazon, but basically you can, you open the browser over the CDP session and you can see visually what happens in the remote browser. Later I can show you and also send you the code so you can be able to play with it.
Okay, do you support data dome slide capture?
Yes.
Could you document those capture events online?
Yes, of course. This is what I did right here. We can detect them, we can solve them. We have our own events for captcha detection, captcha solved, and captcha finished. And this is how you can detect it.
Can you also solve Google reCAPTCHA?
Yes. As Aviv mentioned in the beginning, we can solve any captcha that we encounter.
Great. Do you charge extra for solving captchas?
And no, it's automatically happening in the background.
I'm sorry, I see people asking to come back for their questions, but we have really more than 100 questions already. Can I download the file to send by consuming an API?
I'm not sure I understand the question. The question is whether you can save the data that you parsed in a file. Yes, of course, you can do it via code. If that was the question.
Okay. What is the pricing difference, Web Unlocker versus scraping browser API?
I think Aviv can take it better than me.
I'll take it. Ilya, I think you can stop the sharing. I'll answer this question and then I'll continue. I'll answer this question and then I think we just have like 2 more slides. I'll finish them and then we'll answer any question. We're not going anywhere. We're very happy. It's very exciting that you have so many questions and you're engaging with the webinar. So we'll try to answer whatever we can. Specifically about the pricing question, scraping browser and Web Unlocker have different types of pricing. The scraping browser is a price per GB, while the Web Unlocker is a price per CPM, so units of 1,000 successful requests. So they're just not using the same pricing units. Okay, I'm going to go back to our presentation, and then I'll hop back to the questions. Me and Ilya will keep answering your questions. Okay, I want to wrap up the main takeaways from what we discussed here. And there's 3 main takeaways. The first one is that scraping browser is very easy to integrate with and use, and it's compatible with all popular CDP-based APIs, specifically Playwright, Puppeteer, and Selenium, and also any other CDP-based API. The second point is just to remind that the scraping browser is not just a browser, but it has the built-in proxy management and automated unblocking, just like the CAPTCHAs Ilya showed you. That means you don't need to deal with anything related to not getting blocked. This is fully built into the product. And finally, you can use scraping browser at any scale. There are zero limits. So if you had, for example, special timing to make your schedule in a week, you can squeeze that now in a few hours or one day, no problem. Completely up to you. There are no limits. We'll get to these questions in a second. If anyone has to leave soon, I'll just say thank you for joining us, and you have up to a 50% discount for using the scraping browser. All you need to do is contact your account manager through the control panel and ask for your discount. You can get the discount, start working. You have a barcode here leading to my LinkedIn. I'll be super happy to hear your questions, feedback, comments, anything. Don't be a stranger, talk to me. Now, hopping to your questions. Funny?
About Pipetteer, yes, we can. We're supporting Pipetteer with Python.
Okay. Are you already supporting Selenium? No, not yet. It's in the works. It's in the final touches part. Mute. It's in the final touches part, and it should be ready by the end of this week, maximum within next week. Are you capture solving solutions in-house or offload to third-party services? It depends. There's some cases where it's third-party services, some cases where it's open source solutions, and in a few cases already, we built our own solutions. But the bottom line is, whatever we need to do to get the capture solved, we'll take care of it. Does the browser pricing include proxy, or we should combine it with a proxy package? Great question. It definitely includes the proxy. So when you're using the scraping browser, the proxy and unblocking is built in. You don't need to connect it with another proxy. It's already built in. This is a full solution. You just connect to the browsers, tell the browsers what to do. Everything else is built in. Why use this instead of browser collector? I'm assuming you mean the data collector. It's just a different product with different abilities. If you prefer to have a hosted solution or pre-built collectors or pre-built features like parsing or sending to different endpoints, you can use the data collector. If you're more comfortable using the browser yourself, controlling the browser, the scraping browser is a better solution. Ilya, after solving, can we extract all cookie and header data? This is for you.
After solving, can we extract? Yes, we can extract everything. It should go in the on request option on Puppeteer or Playwright in order to get all the information from each request that's going through the browser. So yes, of course, you can do that.
Okay, let's see what else we have. Any capabilities examples to invoking scraping browser with AWS Lambda, sorry.
Yes, we do support that. Like we do support the AWS Lambda.
Can we pretend specific environment like Windows, Mac, Linux, etc.? Right now, this is controlled by the scraping browser, but I'll be happy if you contact me in person and ask me these questions and give more information so we can check that deeper. You have the barcode to my LinkedIn, or you can just contact me at avivb@brightdata.com. That's avivb@brightdata.com. Can we scrape LinkedIn and Twitter? You can scrape any site that includes LinkedIn and Twitter. Like any other site, Bright Data supports only public web data scraping. So specifically about Twitter and the recent changes, many of the data is now behind login, making it private information, not public. That information is not going to be bypassed. We don't allow going behind logging generally. Anything that's public for all sites, you can definitely scrape. Can you bypass Cloudflare? Yes, we can definitely bypass Cloudflare. Also, Ilya showed it in his demo. I'm not sure, I think it was Muhammad if you were here, but yeah, for sure we can bypass Cloudflare. Can we capture internal XHR requests made by browser?
Yes, it's the same of getting the headers. You can get all the information from the CDP session and on the request in the code.
Which browsers versions will be used? Will it be always the latest Chrome or distribution of sorts? It's usually the latest version of Chrome. If we later on find out that having a mix will give better results, we'll do that. For now, we find that having the latest version is the best option. Is it possible to download a file using this solution and send it using an API? We collect data and files at the same time.
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, whether we can download the files. Well, basically, if you can do it in regular browser with Puppeteer, yes, you of course can do that with other files. You can download them and save them, and then you can do whatever you want. The scraping browser is hosted on our side. However, all the operations should be happening on your side. Meaning, if you need to trigger the browsers and schedule them, you need to upload them to your server and create the scheduler, and then you can trigger all the browser session that you need and save the infrastructure on your side. This is why we have hosting the browsers for you. The other operation should be done on your side.
Can we select the IP country? The answer is yes. You can use the regular proxy targeting in order to target a specific country. So for example, country would be in the authentication in the username, -country, the country abbreviation. For example, United States would be US. How can we schedule the crawlers? This is a solution that you are controlling. So you'll need to be building the scheduler on your side. You can trigger your crawlers to work with the scraping browser at any time you want. It's fully controlled by you. What about pages that require OTP, such as login or sign up page? Can you automatically solve those? So like I said earlier, we do not support anything related to going behind off wall or login, because that's not public information. Browsing here through the questions and seeing what I didn't answer yet. Can we use the same proxy used by the browser for scraping requests? Ilya?
No, basically, what we support today is Puppeteer and Playwright, and later Selenium. Scrapy is supported different products.
Is it possible to find B2B partner, for example, schools, get their emails, URLs, phone numbers? Basically, in the most generic way, any web data that is public, including this information, if it's public, can be collected. Can we extract the data once solved? Definitely. Can we extract the cookies once solved? Yes. How would we reduce the bandwidth? The main problem I have with Bright Data is when scraping at scale, your per GB pricing is high. So like I said earlier, well, first of all, anyone using the scraping browser should make sure he has the right pricing plan. They can get a discounted rate per GB, but also you should only scrape the data that you need. So if you don't need media files or endpoints, for example, there are existing functions with all main libraries allowing you to block that out, and then you can dramatically reduce your bandwidth. Can you connect to the scraping browser for developing the scraper? If can you share how can we connect? You can use we have the Chrome DevTools debugger, which Ilya showed in his demo. You can go to the control panel. If you've opened a scraping browser proxy, you have a built-in debugger. Whenever you have a live session, you click on the button, and then you see links to all of your live sessions, and then you can debug them, or you can use the URL ID in your code, like Ilya did in his example, to open it from your terminal.
Part of you, part of it. So do you
All right, so the questions, it's two questions. So the first one is, do you store used data collected via scraping browsers collected by your clients? Do we store them?
No.
No, we do not store them. What will be the SLA for adapting to changes on the website? Example, new blocking mechanism has emerged. In terms of blocking, we are always trying and testing new options and mechanisms. And if you encounter any new blocking, then you can open a ticket and we will try to solve it. However, everything related to the website itself, in terms of changing layout and selectors, and then it's your job to monitor the website changes in order to adapt the code to get the data that you need. The unblocking mechanism is on us. The website changes is on you.
Is there any planned deprecation of the current proxy and blocker to ultimately switch to scraping browser only support? Not at all. We're keeping all these products available. Different products are a good fit for different use cases and different customers. This is just another new option, which we think will be very valuable to all of our customers using browser automation today. So don't worry, we're not deprecating proxy and unlocker. Can we extract quotes from the pages comparing insurance prices after sending in info about the customer? Each example, age, vehicle, and so on. That depends on the website. Some websites consider that private information, submitting these types of information. Some don't, so it depends on the website. Again, anything that's public web data is open for you to scrape. Can we specify an external proxy, or at least get what proxy has been used to use it again? And can we precise what type of proxy to use or country targeting? You will not get information about the specific proxy used, and you cannot ask for the specific type. In any case, we make sure you're not getting blocked, so it shouldn't really matter what type of proxy is being used. Country targeting, yes, it is completely possible. You can use the country parameter and any other existing targeting parameter in the username, which is used in the authentication. For example, country would be in the username -country the country abbreviation. When you say the website changes are on us, so if a website changes their structure, etc., we will need to alter something in our code to make the scraping work. Well, if you're, for example, looking for some selector or expecting the site to be looking in a certain way, and the site makes changes, so some button is gone and a new button is there, or the entire structure changes, or pagination turned into infinite scrolling or anything of that sort, you will need to adapt your crawler to tell the browser what to do so you can get the data you need. So we're not going to do the markups for our customers' crawler. Whatever you give the browsers, they'll handle optimally, but you'll need to make sure that your crawler is up to date. When you say about public web data only, does it mean that the unblocking features will stop working if we ourselves find a way to log in to a page? For example, we generate emails, create accounts, and log in. Well, basically, we just won't allow navigation to the endpoints which are forbidden, or we won't allow different types of headers or inputs, which we identify as the types that we don't allow. So we technically block it. Can I send custom HTTP headers? Ilya?
And you can set them, but we probably ignore them because we have the mechanism of the unblocker built in. So we are using that on our side. If you need to have some kind of specific special headers, you always can open a ticket and our team can review that.
Is there a maximum session time for the browser to be active? Can we have it running and refreshing content? Okay, I lost the question. It bumped. Okay, so I'll just answer from what I remember from the question, sorry. So there is no limits on the session time as long as it's live, meaning if we see transferred data or actions being taken, you can keep it live for as long as you want. There are no limits. I will note that to make sure that there's no mistakenly done crawls from your side, if we see 5 minutes without any activity, we'll assume it's a mistake and we'll time it out. Can we run multiple scraping profiles at the same time? So I'm assuming you mean, can you run multiple sessions from the same browser? And the answer is yes, you can do that. Okay, thank you, everyone. We've reached our 1 hour cap, so I'll hand it off to Noy. Thank you very much for all your questions. It's very exciting that there's so much interest and so many questions. I wish we could answer all of them right now. You're free to contact your account managers or me directly and ask more questions, and I'll be handing it off to Noy right now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna thank you also everyone who watched and participated in this webinar. The recording will be sent to you soon. Feel free to contact your account manager with any question, and we hope to see you at our next event. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.